Imagine a locked room mystery, but the room is moving at 50 miles per hour. You are sitting on a crowded public bus. The doors are firmly shut. Outside is a freezing, pitch-black winter night. There are 14 other passengers around you. In the very back seat, an old man is fast asleep. The driver checks the rear-view mirror. The man is there. The passengers turn around. The man is there. The bus does not stop. The doors do not open. Hours later, the bus pulls into the final station. The engine shuts off. The doors open. Everyone stands up to grab their luggage. But the old man in the back seat is gone. His luggage is still in the overhead bin. An open bus timetable rests on his empty seat. How does a human being evaporate from a moving vehicle? Welcome to the archives of blood. Today we leave the ocean behind and travel to the dark, frozen highways of America to investigate an event that breaks every single law of physics. The impossible disappearance of James E. Tedford. To understand how this could happen, you first need to know where it happened. Welcome to the Bennington Triangle in Vermont. Long before the Bermuda Triangle became famous, this dense, dark stretch of wilderness was swallowing people whole. Native Americans refused to enter these woods, claiming they were cursed. Between 1945 and 1950, several people vanished in this exact area without leaving a single footprint. But none of them vanished quite like James Tedford. James was a 68-year-old military veteran. He lived in a veteran's home in Bennington, Vermont. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't running from the law. He had no reason to fake his own death. In late November 1949, he went to visit his relatives. On the afternoon of December 1st, it was time for him to go home. He walked into the bus station in St. Albans, bought a ticket, and boarded the local bus back to Bennington. It was a completely normal day. Tedford climbed aboard and took a seat in the very back of the bus. He had a large piece of luggage, which he placed in the luggage rack right above his head. 14 other passengers were on that bus. This is the most crucial piece of evidence in the entire case. He was not alone. He was surrounded by witnesses. The bus pulled out of the station and began its long drive south toward Bennington. As the sun set, a heavy winter snowstorm began to fall. The roads became slick and dangerous. Because of the terrible weather, the bus driver was hyper-focused. He kept his eyes on the road and did not make any unauthorized stops. The doors remained firmly closed. Throughout the journey, several passengers looked back. They saw Tedford. He was sleeping peacefully in his seat. The driver looked in his rearview mirror. He saw Tedford. The bus passed through a town called Route 7, approaching its final destination. It was the last time James Tedford would ever be seen in this reality. Finally, the bus arrived in Bennington. The doors hissed open. The 14 passengers stretched their legs, grabbed their bags, and stepped out into the freezing night. The driver stood up to check the bus. He walked down the aisle to make sure no one had left anything behind. He reached the back row. The seat was empty. James Tedford was not on the bus. The driver was confused. He looked down at the empty seat. Resting right there on the cushion was an open bus timetable, spread out as if someone had just been reading it seconds ago. He looked up. Tedford's heavy luggage was still sitting perfectly in the overhead rack. You don't get off a bus at your final destination and leave your belongings behind. The driver panicked. He ran outside and asked the other passengers. Where did the old man go? They all looked at each other in shock. No one had seen him get up. No one saw him walk down the aisle. Think about the physics of this for a second. A 1940s transit bus is not a maze. There is only one way out. The front door, right past the driver. The windows were sealed shut against the winter storm. Even if he somehow opened a window and jumped from a moving bus into the freezing darkness, someone would have heard the wind. Someone would have seen it. But there was nothing. Just empty space. The police were called immediately. A massive search operation began. Investigators traced the entire route of the bus. They checked ditches, ravines, and the dense forests along the highway. They found absolutely zero trace of him. The police interrogated the 14 passengers. Now, in most disappearance cases, human memory is flawed. People get confused. But on this bus, the testimony was unanimous and terrifying. Multiple passengers swore to the police that they saw Tedford sleeping in his seat after the final scheduled stop. Meaning between the last town and the terminal in Bennington, he simply ceased to exist. They opened his luggage. It contained all of his clothes, his money, and his personal items. The open timetable on his seat proved he was actively checking the schedule, anticipating his arrival. If you want to disappear, you don't do it while trapped inside a metal tube with 14 witnesses. You don't leave your money behind. You don't do it on a moving bus. The news hit the papers. The public was terrified. How could someone glitch out of reality? Skeptics tried to offer logical explanations. Let's look at them. Theory 1. The driver stopped to let someone off, and Tedford quietly slipped out the door. But the driver adamantly swore he never stopped. And even if he did, why would a 68-year-old man walk into a blizzard without his luggage? Theory 2. He was never on the bus in the first place, and the passengers were mistaken. But his ticket was punched. The driver remembered him boarding. His exact luggage was in the exact rack above the open timetable, which leaves us with the darkest theory of all: the Bennington Triangle. Was the bus driving through a physical space where the laws of reality simply bend? Tedford wasn't the first, and he wasn't the last. 3 years earlier, an 18-year-old girl named Paula Weldon walked into those same woods and was never seen again. Exactly 1 year after Tedford vanished, an 8-year-old boy named Paul Jepson disappeared from a truck just a few miles from that bus route. None of their bodies were ever found. Some researchers believe the Bennington Triangle contains a window or a portal, a geographical anomaly where people accidentally step outside of our dimension. Did the bus drive through this anomaly? Did James Tedford wake up in another place, in another time, leaving only his open schedule behind in our world? Or did something reach into that moving bus and pull him out? The next time you are sitting on a late-night bus, looking out into the pitch-black darkness, remember James Tedford. Because sometimes the doors don't need to open for you to leave. What is your theory on the vanishing man? A cover-up by the passengers, or a glitch in reality? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the Archives of Blood. Stay safe in the dark.